vertebrates. The first creature with the beginnings of a backbone lived over 500 million years ago. Then fish, amphibians, and reptiles evolved. It's from the reptile line that the first mammals emerge. The Hadrocodium fossil dates to 195 million years ago. These simple origins led to the vast diversity of mammals we see around us today. Over 5,700 living species have adapted to survive in every corner of the planet. We humans dominate and are the most numerous of the large mammals. This astonishing journey was built on a series of key evolutionary advances that began in very early forms like Hadrocodium. We only have its skull, but we can work out from modern mammals what the rest of its skeleton was like. So how did this minute animal gain a foothold in the age of the dinosaurs? Kunming City in southern China. I've come to this late-night market to observe one of the first crucial steps in the mammal's story. The development of an amazing feature that gave them a key advantage, but only after dark. The mammals found a niche for themselves not so much in space as in time, at night, when the reptiles are not active. A simple experiment with two pets that happen to be for sale in the market tonight can demonstrate why this is so. This is a thermal camera, and it will show a cold body as a black or very dark. So this lizard which is on the table is cold-blooded, and it appears to be very much the same temperature as the table. Reptiles get much of their energy directly from the sun as warmth. But there is no sun at night. As a consequence, it's scarcely got the energy to move. This puppy, on the other hand, is very active. And when you look at him with the camera, you can see that his body is very warm indeed. And you mustn't eat the lizard. The mammals, very early in their history, developed the remarkable ability to generate heat within their bodies. They became warm-blooded. And they achieved this by driving their metabolism at a much higher rate. But to do that, you need extra fuel, extra food. A reptile like a lizard can go for many days without eating. But if a mammal is denied its food for several days, it will die. So in order to keep their fuel bills down, the mammals use the technique familiar to any householder, insulation. They coated their bodies, as this puppy has, with fur. With warm blood and a covering of hair, Hadrocodium was free to hunt for insects in the cool of the night. And now came a new challenge: to find its way around in pitch darkness. Detailed analysis of Hadrocodium's skull is revealing remarkable new evidence of a set of ingenious solutions to this problem. The clues are tiny and invisible to outside scrutiny. But Professor Zhe Luo, an expert on early mammals, is using a micro-CT scanner to unlock the skull's inner secrets. X-rays penetrate the rock and pick out detailed fossil structures within. A computer then builds a 3D model of the bones, and in particular the cavity that once held the brain. Professor Loor is able to identify an area that is clearly much larger than its equivalent in a reptile.
If you look at the CT scan here, you can tell that despite a tiny little skull, the brain is enormous. But one of the most striking features of this particular fossil is it has very large olfactory bulbs.
When you say olfactory bulbs, those are the part of the brain that detects smell.
Correct. This mammal must have had very refined sensory detection of all kinds of smell, allowing it to be active in the dark of the night.
This powerful sense of smell would have helped Hadrocodium pick out the scent of the worms and insects it fed on. The scans have also revealed a radical advance in a second sense that's vital in the dark: hearing. The telltale clue lies, surprisingly, in Hadrocodium's jaw.
One very interesting feature that's so unique about this fossil mammal is very flat jaw. The surface on the inside of the jaw is perfectly flat. In the primitive pre-mammalian forms, there are big grooves.
Grooves like these indicate the presence of two key bones that are attached to the jaw of a reptile. Seen here in green and red. A third bone, coloured blue, transmits sound waves in its ear. In a mammal, there has been a truly amazing evolutionary development. The two jaw bones have shifted to form with the third, the middle ear. This three-bone arrangement opens up a range of higher pitch frequencies that a reptile cannot hear. It's the system we have inherited inside our ears.
So here in Hadrocodium, we get the earliest indication that the 3-ear bones, so important for our hearing, have already originated with this fossil.
Now ears could pick up the faintest rustle in the undergrowth and guide Hadrocodium to any insects moving nearby. Professor Loor's analysis has also identified a spectacular advance in a third key sense.
It also has very large areas responsible for skin touch.
For touch?
That's right. Mammals have hairs. One of the most important functions of the hair is actually to give us the sensory touch, and this animal has already developed that.
The use of hairs as touch sensors is perhaps most obvious from the way modern mammals use their whiskers. This brown rat relies on them for finding its way around at night or underground. At the base of each of those long hairs on its nose, there is a nerve receptor. And whenever the hair is touched, a message is sent up to the rat's brain. It's not just the whiskers, though. Hairs all over its body are wired up to its nervous system. This creates a sensory bubble, allowing the rat to map the world around it just by using its hairs. 195 million years ago, the hairs on Hadrocodium must have been wired up in the same way. This remarkable little creature now had a whole array of new powers with which to meet the challenges of the night. heightening of the senses, powered by a growing brain, had enabled the early mammals to survive in the shadow of the dinosaurs. And then they also developed a radical new way of nourishing their young. We can look for clues to this next crucial step in our evolutionary story in Australia. Not in fossils, but in the bodies of two highly unusual creatures that live here. The first is the platypus, which uses its rubbery beak like a radar transmitter to hunt for shrimp or mollusks underwater. And the second is the echidna, which forages for ants and termites on land. The platypus and echidna are the only two survivors of a group of mammals called the monotremes. Trace their genetic line back and we discover they split from all other mammals around 200 million years ago. Because they retain traits from that distant time, they give us a remarkable insight into very early mammals like Hadrocodium. The most extraordinary feature of all is one that no other modern mammal has retained. They lay eggs. This echidna egg is tiny, only about the size of a marble. The hatching process itself has only rarely been captured on film. These are newly hatched platypus young, filmed in their mother's burrow. They're only about the size of jelly beans. The early mammals must have laid eggs in the same way, and they inherited this trait from their reptile ancestors. This is a view inside a reptile egg. The embryo feeds on a supply of highly nutritious yolk. By the time reptiles hatch, they're sufficiently well developed to go looking for their own food. But the platypus and echidna are very different. Their smaller eggs contain only a small amount of yolk, so their young hatch in a far less developed state. They need a lot more nourishment if they're going to grow and survive. But at Healesville Sanctuary near Melbourne, we can find delightful evidence that platypus young do develop with great success without having to leave their mother's burrow. 4 months after it hatched, a youngster is emerging for the first time. It has grown from a tiny hatchling to near adult size. And that is thanks to an amazing form of nourishment that is a defining feature of all mammals. Milk. This rich mixture of proteins, fats, carbohydrates and minerals oozes from the bellies of female platypus and echidna rather like sweat, and provides their young with everything they need to grow. It's likely that early mammals like Hadrocodium nourished their young in the same way, first with a reduced amount of yolk, and then with milk. So what could explain this hugely significant step? New genetic analysis is providing the answer. Dr. Henrik Kleisman has been using the platypus to investigate the DNA of the early mammals.
The platypus is really an amazing creature. It's really this crossover of a mammal and a reptile, right? And so it has a key position in the evolutionary analysis of all mammals.
First, he looked at the reduction in egg yolk. Reptiles have at least 3 genes that together manufacture their large yolk. Dr. Kaisman has found that the platypus DNA records a dramatic change taking place in the early mammals.
We found only one egg yolk gene in the platypus genome that really was functional and was producing the egg yolk protein.
Presumably, the fact that there was only one gene which was producing yolk accounts for the fact that the platypus egg is so small.
Exactly.
The early mammals must have started to switch off their yolk genes. And Dr. Kaisman has made a second key discovery. The trigger for this shutdown was the arrival of the genes that produce milk.
So you have the milk genes appearing that then allow for the subsequent loss of the egg yolk genes.
The mammals began to favour milk over egg yolk as a way to nourish their young. And that is because milk has one key advantage. It's on tap, and that means that none of it need go to waste. And there's no limit on how much and for how long a mother can feed her young. Warm bodies, powerful senses, and now milk had allowed the early mammals like Hadrocodium to gain a foothold while the reptiles still ruled. But combining egg-laying with milk-feeding brought a new challenge. A mammal mother could not leave the eggs to hatch by themselves as most reptiles do today. She had to stay with them. Then came a truly astonishing solution. The egg, instead of being laid, was retained inside the body and started its development there, so that the young was born alive. Apart from the monotremes, there are two other major groups of modern mammals around today: marsupials and placentals. It's thought that they first appeared around 160 million years ago. Both give birth to live young, but they do so in two very different ways. Spectacular fossil beds in the north of China have in recent years produced the earliest ancestors yet found of these two groups. This is Liaoning province. 125 million years ago, volcanoes were erupting in this region. They left layer upon layer of yellow ash in these rocks. Excavations have revealed the fossilized remains of animals trapped in these layers and preserved in extraordinary detail. This is a fossil that's been called Cynodelphis. Its skeleton is very easily seen, but around its skeleton there are dark marks, and close examination shows that they're fur. So we can be pretty sure that this is the fossil of a mammal, but its skeleton, and particularly its teeth, make it clear that it was a marsupial. Marsupials were once distributed throughout the globe, but most are found today in Australia. And they allow us to see how their ancestors began to bring their young into the world alive. This is a sanctuary for breeding endangered species of wallaby through the use of foster mothers. Running the conservation project is Dr. David Taggart of the University of Adelaide. Today, he and his team are conducting a health check on a newly arrived baby wallaby, known as a joey.
This joey looks like it's about 2 grams, so about 16 days old. So 16 days ago, this young would have been born. All marsupial young are born very mature, so its ears are folded and the eyes are closed.
Instead of being enclosed in an egg when leaving its mother, like a baby echidna, this joey emerged directly from its mother's birth canal just 30 days after conception. Its front legs are more developed and strong enough for it to pull itself up through the fur and wriggle inside a feature that is unique to marsupials, a pouch. Here there's a highly developed milk delivery system. The milk is channeled through long fleshy tubes, teats. A wallaby mother has 4 of them and can even feed young of different ages at the same time.
She might have a young, just newly born, attached to one teat, and she'll have a young off its head in the pouch feeding from another teat, and those 2 teats will be producing a milk that is of different consistency. So one will be to nourish a newborn young, and the other's to nourish a young that's almost ready to wean. It's a great system.
The long teats also give the young a way to cling on to their mother as she moves around. This opossum is a marsupial that lives in South America, and it has no pouch. Its young seal their mouths so tightly round the teats they stay firmly attached. This may well be how the early marsupials like Cynodelphis carried their young around. They were now no longer tied to a nest or a burrow like the egg-laying mammals. But this method had one obvious drawback. Outside their mother's body, the newborn young were vulnerable to accident and exposed to disease. In China, new evidence is emerging for the pioneers of an even more radical solution. At the same time as the marsupials appeared, another branch developed on the family tree of the mammals, a branch that we belong to. And it had a way of nurturing their young before birth. I'm travelling to Beijing and its Museum of Natural History to see remarkably early evidence for this group. This is it. It's been called Juramaya, which means Jurassic Mother. Its bones, and in particular its teeth, identify it as a member of the mammal group to which we belong. But the key thing about it is its date. It's Jurassic, 160 million years old. And this makes Juramaya the earliest creature we know of that could have nurtured its young in a revolutionary new way. Juramaya lived and hunted in a world still dominated by the dinosaurs. But it may have had a powerful advantage. The ability for a mother to carry her young not outside her body like the marsupials, but inside, in a womb. To understand how Juramaya could have achieved this, we can look at one of its living descendants, the one that carries its young inside for the longest period of all mammals, the elephant. This is Dokun. She is part of a breeding program at Melbourne Zoo in Australia, and she is pregnant. Dr. Thomas Hildebrandt, one of the world's leading experts in mammal birth, is monitoring progress with an ultrasound scanner.
We study the longest pregnancy on the planet, which elephants have, with 22 months. And so ultrasound allows us non-invasively to see all the differences during the fetal development, which is quite exciting and was never done before.
More detailed 3D scans give us a spectacular view inside her womb. Even at an early stage of development, the baby's trunk is visible and moving. But we can also see the presence of a remarkable organ that evolved to make it possible to feed a developing baby before birth: the placenta. This baby elephant was born in the zoo just 3 weeks ago, and its placenta has been saved for analysis.
Here we have the elephant placenta of the baby, which is running outside the yard. These blood vessels form the umbilical cord, allowing to move all the nutrients to the baby and take all the waste material away.
On the underside is a ring of sponge-like tissue that attaches to the lining of the mother's womb and allows nutriment to flow in and waste to flow out. But it also operates as a life-saving barrier. Because half of the unborn baby's genes are from its father, it was under threat in the womb from its mother's immune system.
The baby is foreign material, it's an alien to the mother, and would be rejected if there's not a very specific system engaged which protects the baby against the maternal immune system.
Because the tissues of the placenta are composed of cells from both mother and baby, and the two blood supplies never mix, the baby is protected. This allows it to remain inside the womb until it's ready to survive in the outside world. Mammals equipped with this miracle of evolutionary engineering are known as placentals. It's likely that their earliest ancestors, like Jeremiah, were the first to rear their young inside their bodies 160 million years ago. By now, the mammals had acquired all the key characteristics that define them as a group: hairy bodies, milk, and live birth. And this combination would eventually provide them with the platform for an astonishing explosion in diversity.